Assalamualaikum and very good day to my dear respected lecturer, Dr. Fatin and also Dr. Aminah. I am Muhammad Nur Fikiri bin Abdul Hamid and today I would like to present to you about my final year project. The topic is the mechanism to pay kit rent while waiting final title and continuation. Let me start by giving you some background information about this presentation. In this video, we are going to discuss 11 agenda, starting with introduction, problem statement, aim of study, followed by scope and significance of study, literature review, methodology, expected finding, last but not least, conclusion, and I will show you some of the reference. Let's move to introduction. For introduction, as we know, our land is very limited. This limited of land has forced the government to acquire a private land to provide a facilities, a necessity to citizens such as roads, school, clinic, housing, and so on. We call this process as a land acquisition. With Land Acquisition Act 1960, this act is a procedure for the government to take any of land for public use. Section 3, Land Acquisition Act 1960 provide the state authority may acquire any land for public purpose by any person or corporation for any purpose which is in opinion of the state authority is beneficial to the economic development of Malaysia or any part thereof or the public generally or any class of the public, and for the purpose of mining, for residential, agricultural, commercial, industrial, or recreational purpose of or any combination of such a purpose. Talking about land, every landlord has to pay quit rent as a duty to pay taxes. This obligation based on Section 5 National Land Code 1965 mention about rent must be paid to state authority every year start by 1st January until 1st June each year. Turning our attention now to problem statement. For problem statement, the poor management of land administrator caused the delay of final title in the continuation, whereas Section 25 and Section 26 Land Acquisition Act mention already about if any lot area has involved with acquisition, the remaining lot must be remeasured and get a new final title in continuation. But the real is not happen and sometimes need a long time to fulfill that action. Can be said, the delay of final title in continuation after land acquisition just like a normal in Malaysia practice. For example, there were 2,825 of landlord at a district of Besut got delay of final title in continuation since 1956 until 2014. One of my previous studies state the delay of final title in continuation period is more than 10 years at a certain time. This scenario will affect the most to landlord. One of the effect is about taxes. The issue is there is no any typical procedure for paying quit rent during that period before get the final title in continuation. While area of land in title is one of the important factor to determine the amount of quit rent. There is no fair for landlord paying quit rent by counting area of land in the previous title. Meanwhile, the physical land is half or less than that after land acquisition. That's why this research is to study regarding procedure about this issue. So, the landlord who involved in land acquisition after this will not overpay the quit rent anymore. This is the aim of my study. The study aims to help landlord paying the exact amount of the quit rent according to the remaining lot after land acquisition, even though have not yet get the final title continuation. The next agenda is about objective. For objective of this study, there are two kinds of objective in this study. The first objective is to identify the procedure or payment method of quit rent. The second objective is to study the quit rent payment procedure during waiting period of final title in continuation. Next agenda is scope of study. This scope of study is related with these previous studies. Let me elaborate further. In 2015, Instone made a study about benchmarking research of land administrator star rating system. This study mentioned about the issue at the district of Besot, which is the delay of final title in continuation. Then, in 2016, there are 3 studies related to final title in continuation and also about taxes. First, Sheikh Norul, with his study about final title process land acquisition. This study focused on how to make sure the process of final title in continuation smooth and fast. Second, Nur Fatiha, with her study about importance of preparation of final title in continuation after land acquisition. This study focusing on issue on Besot. About delay of final title in continuation too. Third, Nur Izam, with his study forfeiture for non-payment of some demand. This study focused on Section 100 National Land Code 1965, which is government have a right to take the land from landlord who are not paying the quit rent. Next, in 2018, Nur Hidayah with her study about the goodness of land acquisition for rapid project at Pengerang. And lastly, Nur Adrina with her study about problem in the issue delivery notice 6A in 2020. According all these studies, I realized that there are no studies mentioned about taxes after land acquisition. They just mention about the issue delaying final title, about process, about preparation, about have no right on the land if not paying taxes, about goodness of land acquisition, and lastly about the problem to delivery notice 6A related tax areas. So, I scope my study to focus on how procedure to pay quit rent during waiting period of final title in continuation and focus it in land office as my respondent. I focus this study at district of Pengerang because there are a lot of land acquisition happen over there. The significance of my study is divided by 3. First is government. This study can help land office to record denied tax payment because state authorities is directly involved in determining the amount of quit rent. The second is landlord. This study can help landlord clear about this issue and can claim the overpaid quit rent that they paid before. And the last is for student or researcher. Especially researcher and student of UTM can get more understanding about the procedure of paying quit rent. Here are about literature review. Overall, I can say is about importance of final title in continuation after land acquisition. There are 3 phases in land acquisition. First is pre-acquisition, second is acquisition, and the third is post-acquisition. The last phase is including registration of Form K. After registration Form K, the land is officially belongs to the government. Then, why the final title is important? Because the final title in continuation is the new title with remaining land after land acquisition. As I said at the beginning, the remaining lot of area is one of the factors to determine amount of quit rent. With the latest title, landlord will pay the exact quit rent without overpaid. Now, let me show you the residential land tax rate based on the state of the year 2020. According to this table, we can understand how important every single area of the land in title will influence the amount of quit rent. There are the several states I can show to you. For example, I take the first one is Johor. There is 18 ringgit every 100 meter per square for urban land and 10 ringgit every 100 meter per square for rural land. And the same for the other state, but there is some little different with the state of Terengganu. There is count by a strata title and with no strata title. This agenda is about methodology. Briefly, by this diagram, I use primary and secondary data collection according to my objective. Primary data is based on interview, face-to-face. Secondary data is based on formal report, newspaper, journal, act, and past study. Then I analyze the data by using descriptive analysis to get the findings. After that, I can make a clear conclusion about this issue. The next agenda is about expected findings. In this study, researchers will identify the mechanism used by land office to collect quit rent from them who are still not get the final title in continuation. I had like to end with a summary of the main point. This study to find out what the mechanism to pay quit rent for them who involved with land acquisition. Because paying quit rent based on area of land in title. If landlord overpaid quit rent, they should reclaim it after get the final title in continuation. This is several of reference used in my study. I use the research of Nas Rahayu, Nur Hidayah binti Hamzah, Nur Hidayah Muhammad Yunus, and Nur Izam bin Muhammad, and so on. I had like to thank you for taking time out to listen my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.